Today I'm here with Mary Myers, meditator, peace activist, mindfulness teacher, and therapist. Welcome, Mary.
Thanks, Kathy.
Today we're talking about breath meditation.
Yep.
Yep. So let's just start out and let's just go right to it.
Sure.
Tell me about breath meditation. What is it?
Well, it's meditation using the breath as a point of focus. So when you're meditating, you'll often choose something as a point of focus. You might choose a mantra, or you might choose yoga is a kind of meditation where the focus is movement. Tai Chi, similarly. Eating meditation, you're focusing on eating. So breath meditation is focusing on the breath, and it's giving your mind something to, like an assignment.
Oh.
Giving the mind an assignment, like, hey, mind, focus on the breath.
And why the breath? I mean, why?
Well, the breath is great because it's always there. As long as you're doing meditation, there'll be breath.
Or as long as you're living, right?
That's right, as long as you're living, and if there's no breath, you don't really need to meditate any longer. So it's always there, which I'll tell you is a great advantage if you're beginning to incorporate meditation into your life, like you're on the bus and someone's annoying to you and you're like, come back to the breath. It's just right there. So that's one reason. Another reason it's really good is it's a visceral experience. We feel it in our bodies. There are certain points you notice sensation changing, and when we can move to the level of sensation, it supports us in quieting the mind's chatter.
And why is that important?
Well, Jack Kornfield says this great thing. He talks about how the mind will just make up all kinds of stuff, just goes on and on and on and on and on. We all know this, right? Like, you know, you forget to turn in an assignment to your boss, and then suddenly you're going like, oh my God, I totally forgot my boss is going to fire me. What am I going to do? I'm not going to be on my mortgage. I'm going to lose my house. Like, right? So fast. So the mind does this thing where it just spins down this avenue so fast, out of your control. And so, and the thing that Jack Kornfield says that's so great is he says, it's Hollywood in there. Where do you think Hollywood came from?
That's a good one. I never heard that one
It's
before.
a good one, right?
Yeah, it's totally good.
And it's really true. The mind goes so fast, and many times it doesn't really go to ideas that support us.
Yeah,
it
right.
goes to
doesn't
ideas.
go anywhere good.
Right. There's another great quote. Anne Lamott says, my mind is like a bad neighborhood. I try not to go there alone.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so I have this mind, it's all a chatter, so what? I mean, what's with the breath, what's with the meditation?
Well, you know, we want to accomplish things in life, most of us, and our mind gets in our way an awful lot. We want to have good relationships with people, and our habitual thinking trips us up again and again. We get into the same kind of conflicts. We want to progress at work. We want to have a career that we enjoy, and maybe our mind gets fixated on some idea that, you know, we probably can't do it or shouldn't. So there's all kinds of things the mind does that are really counter to what we want. You know, the mind is not us. It's really fascinating. I use the mind often instead of my mind or your mind or his mind. The mind, it's this entity that just kind of has a life of its own. And the more we develop an awareness of the mind as separate from the observation part of us, the observing of the mind, the less we are sort of like impacted by its madness.
So if I meditate, if I do breath meditation, then I won't have runaway mind.
Wrong.
Oh.
Yes. Unfortunately, one of the things that I often will say is it is the nature of mind to wander. It's the nature of mind. You know, when we were getting ready today, I was sort of astonished by all the things my mind managed to go through in the few minutes we were sitting here waiting in silence. And it is the nature of mind to wander. The question is, what happens next? And I don't know about you. I am capable of re-engaging in an argument mentally that I had 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like my mind would just start to go, oh my God, I should have said this. And you know, if he hadn't done that, and pretty soon I'm
How
literally...
could they do that to me?
Yeah. So it's just the mind. Now, here's the catch. If I identify with what the mind is doing, then it's me having the argument.
Right.
But if I recognize, oh, it's just a habit of mind, I take a breath, let it go.
It's just a
I don't
thought.
care about that argument. It's just a thought. It's just a thought.
And meditation will help me with that.
Yes, big time.
And why though? I mean, why would it help me?
How does it help?
Yeah.
Well, I think it does two things. It, well, 1,000 things. It strengthens this distinction between the mind and this observing self. Mm-hmm. So you get a much more, a much clearer sense that there is an observer that is not the mind. Mm-hmm. And so as we begin to break identification with the mind's thoughts, mm-hmm. then we're less apt to be caught by them. Uh-huh. We might still get caught. They're pretty compelling. Let's notice Hollywood is compelling, right? Uh-huh. You walk by a movie, you stop and you look. Mm-hmm. And it's just, you know. Mm-hmm. So it's not that we won't get caught, but in the moment we recognize, whoa, what am I doing? Am I really having that argument again, you know? Mm-hmm. Then in that moment we know because of our practice, oh, it's just a habit of mine. And mm-hmm. literally, as I do this, Kathy, what's happening for me? Mm-hmm. I'm sort of imagining being caught in this thought. Mm-hmm. And I go, wait a minute, what? And I go, and I feel this like air move between me and the thought. And there's this clarity, simplicity of presence. It's like fresh air through my being. And the thought's still rattling on over here.
Yeah. But it gives you a way to sort of maybe disconnect from it or disengage from it and not get so worked up into it.
Yes, and I think disidentify is really an important piece of it, that I don't need to identify with these thoughts. They're just happening, you know, which is very different from deliberate thinking. Right? So if I want to think about something, I'm like, okay, I need to figure this out. That's a very different process from the mind's just going on and on and on. There's a word for that. It's called rumination. And tends to go to very dark places.
And rumination being that thing where you're just like going on and on, over and over. They said this and they said this and they said this and they said this over and over and over again. And that's when we get sort of stressed and we feel anxiety and we feel all these. I mean, does it also go to depression maybe?
Absolutely. Rumination is a huge aspect of depression, and we now know through cognitive behavioral therapy, through mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, which is an 8-week course that I teach, and through this wonderful work by this guy, Stephen Ilardi, who developed something he wrote a book about called The Depression Cure. Rumination is probably the primary hurdle to healing from depression if you won't get a handle of it. You have to get a handle on it. You have to recognize what it is and begin to disidentify from it. Begin to find ways to block it. Begin to find ways to distract yourself.
And one way to do that is to start doing meditation.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. I think rumination is so powerful that meditation isn't really probably powerful enough to deal with it in the moment that it's really strong. But what we do with meditation is we strengthen our capacity to return to presence. And practice is really important in this regard, just like doing a sport or a musical instrument. You get better and better and better at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you found that in your own life?
Oh yeah, hugely. Yeah. Hugely. And you know, everyone who knows me who's known me for a long time will attest to it. I'm nicer.
I'm nicer.
I'm calmer.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm someone that people come to for calmness now.
Because you can disengage from like whatever chaos is going on.
Yep. And often, you know, what'll happen is I'll get caught just like everyone else, and I'll have that little heart rate surge, and you know, the breathlessness that comes, and the sort of wide pupils, and the sort of like alert response. But I know to go, okay, feeling my feet on the floor, feeling my butt on the chair, feeling my back, feeling my breath. And sometimes, you know, to do that, you have to actually stop paying attention to the drama for a little while, so things slip. You know, you don't, but honestly, you don't need all that information anyway. Coming back, recognizing the upheaval and saying, all right, let me come to this from a new place.
And so the meditation allows you to get that little...
Yeah, absolutely. And the more you practice, the more you can come back to it.
Is it that you see it quicker? Like whatever the mental process is, and then you're able to disengage from it quicker. I mean, both those things?
Yes, and they're kind of separate things. Yeah, but both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you found that in your own life, where you've been able to disengage, quiet, and I guess that's why people are coming to you now for calm, because the more volatile Mary has calmed down, and so now people recognize you as like a calm being versus a...
You know, and I'm talking about my family and friends.
Well, the people who really know you, yeah.
The people who really know me. The ones who count, not the ones I fool with my business cards, you know.
I was thinking about all the people in the streets.
Well, I will tell you, it is a strange phenomenon. People do walk up and start talking to me. And I do think there's something about it that has to do with my capacity to be a little more still internally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, people talk to me on the street about their problems. It's pretty funny.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
So do we want to start to talk, I mean, to actually sort of practice a little bit then?
Yeah.
Because we'll do a little bit of breath meditation, and then you can lead me through it, and we can do it right here.
Good.
And yeah, talk.
Okay. All right, great.
Okay.
So I'm going to use a bell.
Okay.
The bell is, you know, the Pavlov's dog thing, right?
Yeah.
Where they fed a dog and they rang a bell. They fed a dog and rang a bell. And eventually they would ring the bell and the dog would begin to salivate. The dog had made an association with the bell and food that caused a physiological response, right? So similarly, the bell can be something that helps us learn to come back more quickly. So it's a nice tool for meditation.
Yeah.
And in the tradition in which I practice, we usually start a meditation with 3 and end with 1. You can do whatever you want, but it's a nice thing to do. And so I'm going to start with it. And what I'm going to encourage you to do is listen to the whole sound of the bell. So for example, the sound does this. It has a sharp start, right? And then it has a decay. And so I'm going to invite you to listen to the sound as it goes through the whole decay. Okay? All right. And then I'm just going to guide you through a process of arriving, sort of acknowledging where you are, and then contacting the breath.
Okay. And so this is okay for sitting, right?
Oh, yeah. That's wonderful for sitting. How I'm sitting is probably not ideal, but is fine. Here's what's really important is you want to be physically comfortable and you want to be able to breathe. And I will say that, you know, ideally, let me just demo a little bit. Ideally, if you're sitting in a chair, you probably want to sit forward on the chair because you want this lumbar curve a little bit. But that being said, if you can relax like this and take a lot of pressure off, that's okay too. So if you're leaning back and you can relax. If you're going to sit for long periods of time, you'll need to learn to sit well because it's hard on the back. But, you know, just for a short sit, as long as you're comfortable.
So sitting on a chair, sitting on a floor, whatever's comfortable, really. That's
sitting
the
on a
most
bed.
important thing.
Sylvia Boorstein is a great meditation teacher, and she says in one of her books that for years when she was raising her children, her sitting practice was that she would get up before everyone else and go sit on the couch with a comforter, snuggled in the comforter. And she's a serious practitioner, but what she knew was in her life at that point, she needed some comfort. She needed, like, no one was taking care of mom. That doesn't happen, right? So she needed to give herself some care and the comforter and snuggle on the couch. So maybe she had her feet up, you know. She wasn't doing formal meditation practice. Yeah. Great.
And then what about my eyes?
Some traditions say you should have them closed. Some traditions say you should have them open. There are benefits to both. One of the nice things about practicing in different ways is, you know, like say you're on the subway, right? And you're feeling stressed out. You might not want to close your eyes. So one of the things you can do if you don't want to close your eyes is you can just sort of relax them. Like right now, I'm kind of vaguely looking at a spot on the floor down there, but I'm not looking at it. My eyes are just sort of maybe focused on the air halfway between. So that's one way to do it, that you just sort of lower your eyes. But certainly closing them is fine too. So really just letting them gently drop. You can breathe through your nose, but another kind of nice way is to do a sort of half nose, half mouth breath where you're sort of, you can touch the tip of your tongue more or less to the top of your mouth behind the teeth and just relax the lips. So there's this kind of half and half. But there are no rules. This is really important. No rules.
Whatever works for you.
Whatever works for you. And it's important to give yourself a chance to find something that works for you. So not just dabbling, but actually trying something for a while and seeing how it develops.
What do you think a while is?
Oh, like 20 years or so. All right. So shall we begin?
Yep.
All right. So you can begin by just becoming aware of your body and just notice your body sitting in the chair. So you can begin by feeling the points of contact with the chair, for example, your thighs or your ankles or your butt or your back. So wherever you're contacting the chair. And for people elsewhere, wherever you're contacting the floor or the bed, whatever you're sitting on, and just seeing if you can feel that contact. So literally feeling. And I'm going to leave little gaps between what I'm saying so that you can actually try it, because words are very distracting. And as you rest awareness in that contact with the source of the thing you're resting on, with the chair, let yourself now gently scan your body and look for any areas of tension. You know, very often we have kind of a bracing energy or a clenched energy or a gripping energy, and just for any areas. And if you find any like that, just gently jiggle, gently move. You want to begin to release these areas of bracing or tension. And just continuing to scan your body, maybe check your legs. Tension can kind of sneak in. Check your hands. Check your face. Often we hold tension in our jaw. If so, you can, wiggle your face. I'm on camera and I'm doing it, so you can feel free. Meditation can be a delight. It's very important. Yeah, so noticing that naturally deep breath that just happened, this sort of settling into oneself that happens as we begin to connect with our bodies. So now perhaps just looking for any area of pain, like if there's just any subtle pain anywhere in your body, the lower back or the jaw or the hands or the feet, anywhere at all. Could be a stomach, could be your head, you could have a bit of a headache. And whatever you find, I'm going to invite you to see if you can just soften around it. So what you're trying to do is just actually like soften the muscles around it in the surrounding tissue, in the surrounding limbs, in the surrounding parts of your body, and take away any gripping against it. So we have pain, but then we often have this kind of resistance to it on top of it. And if we can remove the resistance, then we'll find the pain actually diminishes a little bit. Perhaps only in intensity, And maybe let's just check back in with the body in contact with the chair. And maybe on the next 2 out breaths, you can actually let yourself drop more deeply into the support of the chair or the floor, whatever it is you're on. Just using the out breath to drop. And so having given a little awareness to our body, a little attention, let's bring awareness now to our emotional state. So just check inside and notice what kind of feelings are present. A little bit of anxiety or worry or elation or pleasure or sadness or any combination of these. We're capable of holding many emotions at once. And curiously, emotions are stored in the body, so maybe check around the heart area, see if there are any emotions there. maybe in the abdomen. Just see if you notice anything. And whatever you encounter, I'm going to invite you, whether it's a good thing, a bad thing, or nothing at all, just say, okay, got it. Yep, got it. That's how it is right now. Got it. What we're trying to do is remove the layers of resistance to our current experience. You know, it is what it is. We're sitting here having the experience we're having. And so let me invite one more layer of awareness. So just notice what your mind is doing right now. You know, is it yakking on about some story? Is it thinking about dinner or taxes or, you know, worrying or fantasizing about that date? What is it doing? So just being curious. And is it hyperactive or kind of quiet or somewhere in between? So this is an observation process. And whatever you encounter, we're like, okay, got it. That's how it is right now. Got it. And so we're going to continue to bring this level of acceptance to our experience as now we bring awareness to the breath. So there are basically two places you can encounter the breath easily, and one is at the nostrils. As you breathe in, you'll notice it's cooler, and as you breathe out, you'll notice it's warm or neutral. So breathing in, it's cool. Breathing out, warm or neutral. And as best you can, just resting at the level of sensation. Feeling the cool, feeling the warm or neutral. And noticing if the mind is very busy, if it's yakking on about something, or if it's quiet. Either is fine. What we want to go is, okay, got it, and simply return awareness to the breath, the sensation of cool and the sensation of warm or neutral. And you'll probably notice that the mind will wander. It's the nature of the mind to wander. And as we notice, we go, okay, got it, the mind wandered, and again we just bring our awareness back to cool or neutral. Cool and warm or neutral. So let's just take 3 more very conscious breaths, feeling the cool as you breathe in, and the warm or neutral as you breathe out. Cool, warm or neutral, cool, warm or neutral. And just gently feeling your presence in the chair. You can let your eyes slowly open and rest on the floor. And we'll listen to one sound of the bell to return to the room.
So I have kind of a lot of questions for you, but we don't have a lot of time.
Okay.
So some of the questions that I have are, why did you focus so much on the body?
You know, here's why. If we don't let ourselves arrive in the body, our mind can't arrive. And very often, the bracing in the body is it doesn't allow us to relax. I don't know about you, you've meditated a lot. I too have meditated a lot. I've had so many awful meditations where I just can't settle, I just can't settle. And I've learned that if we can come back to the body and feel that presence and settle, it's a really great foundation for that awareness of what's going on with us.
Right.
So if I'm feeling angry or hostile or tired or frustrated or physically depleted or whatever, if I have that awareness, that's the starting point for presence. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where everything begins that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to have a practice, what would you recommend?
I would recommend finding people who are practicing and practicing with them.
To start out with at least, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to practice with other people, and a good community that supports you is such a blessing. Yeah.
And can I do what you taught me today?
Yeah.
Can I do that?
Yeah, in fact, on my website, I have some meditations that are downloadable. If anybody wants to go, they're free and everything. It's mindfulness4healing.com. And yeah, so you can follow the guided meditations on the site, and there's lots of them on the web. Tara Brach has lots of great guided meditations, so yeah.
Yeah, so we learned this great technique today.
Great.
Breath meditation. We learned how to relax our body and to sit and really be present. And hopefully we'll take it out and like go and pursue it and download some audio files and do some practice at home. And even if we can't, find a group to do, we're in New York City, so I mean, any flavor you can imagine's here. But like even if you're not in New York City though, I mean, even if we just took like a few minutes every day to just sit and be quiet.
Yep.
Like the story you told about Sylvia Boorstein.
Yeah.
To like sit and on your couch in a
Right.
snuggly blanket
Right.
with maybe a cup of tea
Right.
and just find,
Right.
a few minutes of peace. Boy, that's really a great place to start.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for coming, Mary. I mean, it's
Pleasure.
been really great to have you here. I mean,
Thanks.
I'm so excited. And we'll be in touch, and we'll hopefully do some more shows together.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy.